All right, then, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, let me come first to you. You heard it. People are fed up with the Congress and the UPA as a whole, but not Congress leaders, not Manmohan Singh, not Rahul Gandhi. Explain this to us.
Well, Manmohan Singh comes out as a kind of a simple, straightforward person. He may be ineffective. He's not being allowed to do things. This is the kind. He's a scholar. These are images which are stuck with him and stood in good stead. As far as Rahul Gandhi's appeal is concerned, it appears to me the question might be rigged in the sense he is preferred as Prime Minister to whom? To Manmohan Singh or
no, overall,
somebody
who would
else?
You like to see as Prime Minister in the next election? That was the question.
Well, that's 600 people sample. I think this is too small a sample for me to see this. I get the impression that he has the impression of being some kind of he's unfit for this kind of a job, but that is the general impression I have.
Okay, but let me put this to Nirmala Sitharaman. There was a time when Manmohan Singh was sort of untouchable in a sense. You could not criticize him. When you said he was weak, people said that cost you the election. Then he became your prime target, both from the BJP and the RSS, and yet the public has not lost faith in him. Is that sort of a failure of the BJP to crack his image?
Well, see, you're talking of two different things, aren't you? It is his image versus what he is able to do.
Well, they said he's effective.
Well, when the word effective is there, given all the findings that you've brought out, he's most corrupt government, people are not being cared for. These are kind of things which a leadership has to do. So here, if you're talking of effectiveness, I think I'll underplay that word in your question a bit. But the fact remains, when the performance indicators have all come out in such a way that UPA is not favored and truly people are feeling the pinch, people feel their lives are worse off, a Prime Minister and who's perceived as a good person or a honest person is really ineffective, and that's exactly what we are saying too.
No,
that
but the
he's
public
shielding
has said
the corrupt.
He's effective, but Rahul
Wait a minute, that he's shielding the corrupt, that his government doesn't care for the
arrested Kanimori.
Shielding the corrupt.
About 11 people are in jail for 2G.
That Supreme Court is asking for them. The fact remains that just because action is taken, you caught a robber, doesn't mean that you allowed the, you first of all allowed the theft to be carried on in your house. And then to say, I've caught the robber, doesn't help.
The BJP still believes that the 2G scam ultimately ends up at the Prime Minister's door.
See, he is the head of the cabinet. And the cabinet has taken such crucial decisions which led to such a major scandal. Not one, not two, three major scandals, all of which are being investigated now. To be a head of that kind of a cabinet doesn't really speak well for somebody who carries a personal good image. And that point has come through any case.
Rahul Narvekar, let me put this to you. I mean, it's a situation which I've never seen before. I don't know whether you have both in India and abroad, where a government is so disliked, seen as so corrupt, seen as ineffective, but that both its Prime Minister and its sort of heir apparent, if you like, have an extremely positive image. You as an opposition party, when you go to the polls, how are you going to tackle this contradiction with voters?
Well, Jahangir, allow me to take each of your questions independently. Number one, as to whether or not the public or the people of this country have anything to celebrate about or to be enthusiastic about the last 2 years of governance of the UPA. To my mind, absolutely not. If at all one wishes to cheer and appreciate corruption, that's the only thing they can appreciate. If one wishes to appreciate lawlessness in the country, that's one thing they can appreciate. If one wishes to appreciate inflation, price rise, these are the only things that the government has offered to appreciate. And to my mind, no sane person would like to appreciate these things. Number two, if you talk about the popularity of Mr. Manmohan Singh as an individual, no doubt his integrity, his image, probably spotless. No one has anything to say in person about him. But if he is heading the government, if he is the Prime Minister of the country, he is accountable for the entire government. And when it comes to that, he has been a big failure. And therefore, I don't think we need to go deeper into this question whether or not Manmohan Singh is an acceptable face. As a person, he may be an acceptable face, but as a leader of the government, he has been an absolute failure insofar as delivering and performance is concerned.
Okay.
Number three,
okay.
your question as to whether Rahul Gandhi is an acceptable face. I think there appears to be a contradiction in your entire survey, because if people are happy with Manmohan Singh, why would they vote for Rahul Gandhi to be the next Prime Minister? I mean, if they're so happy with Manmohan Singh, he should rather continue than Rahul Gandhi stepping in. So there clearly seems to be a contradiction on that
Okay,
front.
well, these are things, you know, we can all see numbers and facts as we want to. What I want to ask you, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, is very simple. There's a contradiction between the effectiveness of the Prime Minister and his sort of, if not the fact that he's been corrupt, the fact that he's allowed his government to be corrupt. But, you know, one area where there's clearly been a failure is economics. I mean, this is the man who gave India its economic dream, and yet today we live in days when economic confidence is falling in the nation. Could it be that this Prime Minister is also the one who, while giving us a dream, is going to snatch it away from us? What's your view on where he's taking the economy?
Well, first correction is he didn't give you the economic dream. It was Narasimha Rao, and the blueprints were supplied by me. You media people may have made him out to be the person who gave the dream. He certainly was a competent finance minister, I have no doubt. But if as a finance minister he could give you a dream, I don't see why as a prime minister he can't give you a dream. I think the main reason why he is still getting such a high rating is because there is no better alternative within the UPA.
Okay,
I don't know how the design of the sample was done, so I can't really say.
Okay, no, but you're saying that what, he wasn't even, that even 91, you don't want to give him credit for being the man who brought reforms to India?
Giving the people of
Not
this
at
country
all.
a dream, but that's a nightmare.
It was Narasimha Rao. I was a minister, I had a minister rank position at that time. I was in the inside. I know how it all went. It was Narasimha Rao who had to constantly cajole him to get it implemented, because he didn't have the political savvy to get it done like today. He doesn't have the political wherewithal to get done what he wants to do.
Okay, let me ask Nirmala Sitharaman one issue on the economic side that has clearly been a failure is inflation. In the just concluded state elections, it was one of the primary driving forces. You know, the inflation is now 15%, FDI is falling, the fiscal deficit is rising, and yet the BJP has not been able to rein in this government. You've not been able to use, you blocked parliament for an entire session, but you voted through the finance bill. You've not been able to force the government to make any substantive changes in its economic policies.
Well, I think there are many other factors which have governed the way in which the parliament, this budget session has happened. Because I would want to have a little correction. It is not the BJP which blocked the winter session. The obstinance of the Congress party in even accommodating a debate and wanting to give away the the JPC was the main hindrance. Any case, having said that, when you came to the budget session, you were really rushing through the session with many things that you had to achieve, and therefore, and again, it wasn't as if that was a period which remained quiet in terms of the kind of good governance agenda which this government was meant to be taking forward. You still had a lot of skeletons coming out of the UPA cupboard. So you were moving from one crisis to another, and there was, and that is our grievance. Good governance is also getting dumped because you're moving one crisis from one crisis to another. Okay. So you really don't get to talking meaningful things.
Okay. Rahul Narvikar, let me ask you this. As a member of a regional party, there's a trend in New Delhi that seems to implicitly blame the regional parties for everything. The Congress is great, but it's the DMK that was corrupt. It's the NCP and Sharad Pawar and Praful Patel who are corrupt. It is basically, you know, Mamata Banerjee, who's a bit too close to the Maoists for anyone's comfort. Do you see this as something that is sort of affecting the way voters look at regional parties? Is this something that bothers you, that all the blame seems to be put on regional parties?
Well, the people of this country are smart enough. Congress at the most can fool itself, but not the people of this country. They are heading a coalition government. If there is any member of a regional party which is a part of that government is held responsible for corruption, the buck stops at the Prime Minister. He is responsible for it as much as those individual members of regional parties are involved or guilty. So I don't think he can fool the people of this country. And insofar as the attitude of the Congress government is concerned, the entire nation has seen the double standards which Congress government and its office bearers have summed up to. Rahul Gandhi takes up a different position in Noida, but he prefers to take a different position in Jaitapur. He takes a different position in Haryana. So wherever there is a Congress government in place, there is a different attitude of the Congress government. Wherever there is a regional party in place in government, they have a different attitude. BSP is in UP, they have a different attitude for Noida. You've got Congress in Haryana, they've got a different attitude for land acquisition in Haryana. You've got the Congress in Maharashtra, they have a different attitude for the land acquisition in Maharashtra. So this plot of the government belittling regional parties and blaming the regional parties for all their flaws is well known to the people of this country, and I'm sure they will not fall for this.
And add to that, Congress's own land acquisition policy in Andhra Pradesh seems to be very different from the way they're handling Noida. There too, the Congress government in Srikakulam had a police firing, 2 people died. Where was our Congress General Secretary there?
But you know, there's a sense that the BJP is not pressing home the point. There was a phase when we all thought this government could fall, at least the Prime Minister could fall. Now there seems to be the assumption all around that everyone's fine. Nobody really wants an election. Everyone's sort of sheathing their daggers again. They're putting them back in their tunics. You're not really going after the government with the same sort of bite that you did even 3 months ago.
I'm not sure that you are right in saying that, because when you really go well with the arguments and fight your way through to get points across, you say, oh, you're bringing instability to the country. And then when you really take issues at the right fora and talk about it, you say, why are you mellowing down? Don't you want this government to go? So I think all of us will have to understand the opposition does its job, every time raise its voice, and also try to very clearly...
But you don't think clearly that the government's done so badly that you need to bring it down?
No, the government has done so badly is what we are repeatedly saying.
But,
what is bringing
you think
down?
It's going to serve its term? You're
No,
not
what
going to
is
push.
bringing down?
It's bringing down is putting more pressure on Parliament. It's creating new
Haven't
alliances
we done that?
may take
You're
the numbers.
accusing us of blocking the Parliament. Haven't we done that?
But pressuring them in Parliament is different from not showing up in Parliament.
We are showing up. They don't want to show up.
2G, getting new alliances that might take their numbers away from themselves. I mean, right now, even Jayalalitha, the new lady on the block, might actually there's talk of her going to join the UPA and not the BJP.
Well, alliances are not done on a monthly basis. They do have a tenure, they do have a certain currency, and therefore we will look at it with a very clear agenda of having NDA strengthened. But it can't be done just because you want to, you're going with an agenda, a negative agenda, bring this government down.
Okay. And an opposition that is fed up with the government and Prime Minister but can't quite bring it down or keep him in check. When we come back, we'll ask Joe Ramaswamy the question we just touched upon. Will the AIADMK, the new force in Tamil Nadu, now in fact join the UP, and how will that change equations in the next 2 years? Don't go, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We're talking about the UPA completing 2 years in power. We asked Indians what they thought of the government and the Prime Minister. Take a look at what some of them said.
जो महंगाई बढ़ रहा है, हम तो आम आदमी है. आम आदमी का क्या होता है कि भाई जितना सस्ता में जो चीज़ मिले, हम लोगों को तो सैलरी मिलता है, 2,000-3,000 रुपए सैलरी मिलता है. उस हिसाब से तो भैया चल नहीं पाते हम लोग. तो इस हिसाब से कुछ तो मतलब रोकना चाहिए. कुछ मेजर्स ऐसा होना चाहिए जिससे मतलब हम लोग चल पाएं, आम आदमी चल पाए.
रोटी कपड़ा एंड मकान हैज बीन द ओनली इशू ऑफ द इंडियन पीपल. इंडिया में आदमी लोग मतलब रोटी कपड़ा और मकान से आगे आज तक बढ़ नहीं पाए हैं, जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस प्राइस राइज एंड करप्शन. कि आम आदमी ही रह गया है, कभी आम आदमी से आगे नहीं बढ़ पाया है. और अभी इंडियन इकोनॉमी थोड़ा कैपिटलिस्ट इकोनॉमी जैसा हो गया है.
All right, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, people on the street, as you just heard, you yourself, parties that you're close to, that you work with, like the AIADMK, have been going on about corruption and inflation. You've been attacking the government on those issues plus 2G, and now suddenly, you know, we hear talk about the AIADMK offering to now join the same government that is criticizing for so long. Now, isn't this sort of, doesn't this emblemify the problem? It's emblematic of the situation. Everyone is more interested in power. You're not interested in pressing on the point with this government. And they can get away with anything.
Yes. Well, I think it's a very wrong thing that to assume that the AIADMK would do it, because frankly, it would be like committing suicide. This time, the vote was not for Jayalalitha. There was no fanfare for her. It was actually the shock of the 2G. And it is compounded by the fact that the principal actors in the media appear to be Tamilians, Raja, Kannimori, Karunanidhi, that sort of thing. So, plus of course the Aragiri rowdyism in the district of Madurai. So, I think the Tamil people reacted, felt their self-respect is hurt by this. And the whole vote is for as a revolt against the scam, 2G scam.
Okay.
And Ms. Jayalalitha's party had the infrastructure and they took advantage of it.
Okay.
Now they go and join the Congress.
Okay. That will backfire. Let's ask Cho Ramaswamy. Cho Ramaswamy, you heard what Dr. Swamy said. Do you think that the AIADMK will be hurt very badly if it joins the UPA after knocking it for so long?
The people were angry with the Congress because it aligned itself with the DMK and refused to budge. The people wanted the Congress to move away from the DMK. They got angry with the Congress that they did not do it. And as far as going near the center by Jayalalitha is concerned, for healthier politics in Tamil Nadu, the DMK should be out of the center also. Not only here, but out of the in center also, at the center. For that, well, it will be, Jayalalitha would be helping healthier politics in this state by moving towards the Congress at this present juncture.
Okay, decimate the DMK at any point, we get that. But let me ask you, Rahul Narvekar and then Nirmala Sitharaman, this sort of take no prisoners attitude which is being exhibited by many towards the DMK has certainly not been exhibited with the Prime Minister against one group who you would like a more hardline stance on, that's Pakistan. The Prime Minister is basically on foreign policy taking a soft diplomatic approach with Pakistan. Rahul Narvekar, your party, what is your take? Do you think it succeeded? Has it failed? Has it been wise? What's your view?
Well, the attitude of the government of India for quite some time has been, with regards to terrorism, has been projecting India definitely as a soft target and a haven for terrorism. We need to look and learn from the example which the US has set. Look at the swift manner in which the American president has moved. America is the oldest democracy and we are the largest democracy. Their fundamentals of judicial system are as strong as ours. Despite that, the president of America executes a death warrant against Osama, without any trial, without any conviction. However, we do in our country have terrorists who have been convicted by the apex court of this country. Despite that, we haven't been able to execute the punishment. We have failed to hang them till date. So what are we projecting to the country, to the world at large? That India is a haven for terrorism. Anyone can come here, undertake terrorist activities and live peacefully for who knows till when.
Okay, and yet Nirmala Sitharaman, there is no denying that terrorist activity in India has actually come down. The number of terrorist attacks has been reduced. Many have been nipped in the bud. Maybe the diplomatic, approach may not resonate well in, massive crowds in polls, but it seems to be working quietly and effectively.
Well, I do not know how you're measuring all this.
Simple stats on terrorism.
No, wait a minute. What are we talking about? Preventing terrorism is one thing, and also getting the terrorists who have had the guts to attack us to book is another. Now, as regards the way in which we are talking with Pakistan, irrespective of whatever they do or they don't, our hope is we keep our fingers crossed, always remain good to them and expect them to also reward us with goodness. Very well, if that's a strategy they want to adopt, they may adopt, but that is getting us nowhere. And also, when you're talking about terrorism, it doesn't just come from the soil of Pakistan. It may be nurtured there. Nurseries might be there. But it can come through Bangladesh, it could come through Nepal, it can come through any other thing. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, whilst you may be enthusiastic and very focused about maintaining a relationship with Pakistan, we cannot ignore the other neighbors. Goodwill and also relationship binding has to happen in the rest of the South Asian region, so that we are protected from all sides. We have friends all over, but today we find that India is becoming porous from all sides because we are only looking at Pakistan with blinkers, and we hope for all goodness that things would be better.
Dr. Swamy, if we look at India being surrounded by friends, one big country on our borders that you know quite a bit about, which I would personally argue that the friendship factors come down with, is China. How would you rate what the Prime Minister and the UP have done vis-a-vis China?
Well, they haven't done anything because the fundamentals are, the Chinese have certain concerns. Are we in sync with it or not? I mean, when you have an image that you are a junior partner of the Americans, you are not going to have good relations with China. Now, I am not suggesting that we should fight with the Americans to make up with the Chinese. No, no, not at all. But there must be some assertion of our independence. We don't find that. Even on Pakistan, it's the pressure of the Americans which is making us talk. After 26/11, we said we'll never talk with them, and we started talking with them. They said won't play cricket with them. Now we're starting playing cricket with them. That is the reason why it's not possible for India and China to be good friends in the present dispensation.
Okay. Now, George Ramaswamy, let me come to you and ask you this. Everyone is now talking about Rahul Gandhi. He's made a sort of very strong political statement in Uttar Pradesh, a key state for him, over the sort of Greater Noida land grab issue. Do you see Rahul Gandhi now slowly eclipsing the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh over the second half, the next 2 years of the UPA government? What's your view, sir?
Yes, they may project him, because otherwise there will be a big problem in the Congress choosing the next Prime Minister. Maybe he is chosen. Fine.
Okay, we're running out of time. Let me go quickly around the table. The next 2 years, if you can predict what the government will be about, whether it will complete its term, or Nirmala Sitharaman, we start with you. If you'd like to tell us, what is your party's strategy going to be vis-a-vis the UPA now going forward?
Well, we'll certainly make sure that the issue of the corruption is taken forward, and people who have faltered, who have failed this country, will all have to face the law, and we'll make sure that there are no more cover-up attempts by this current government. We'll also ensure that we will fight with this government to really look at Aam Aadmi.
Okay.
Where are you? What are you doing towards them? On the prices, there's just no care. On administration's failure, nobody wants to respond. Look at the kind of, human errors which have been happening in the last...
the CBI, bungling in the government.
Yes, bungling, and which is bringing the very image of this country down, and we are becoming a laughing stock.
Rahul Nervekar, what's your view? 2 years, these next 2 years, what's it all going to be about?
Well, if the government continues in this manner they have been behaving for the last 2 years with regards to inflation, with regards to price rise, with regards to lawlessness, with regards to corruption, then I'm sure there would be a time when the people of this country come down on the streets and pull the government down. And insofar as political parties like us are concerned, we will take the government to task on the floor of the House in the Parliament and ensure that such government is not allowed to continue in government.
Okay, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, I'll give you the last word, but it looks like we're back to the first point, that no matter how angry people get with the government, no matter its failures on inflation or corruption, how are you going to budge the power sort of equation in New Delhi if voters still flock to Manmohan Singh and Rahul Gandhi?
I'm not sure that that's what we saw in Tamil Nadu recently. Even in Assam, I'm sure that if AGP and BJP had formed an alliance, whether the Congress would have won. The Congress nearly lost in Kerala, and in fact they've got less seats than their allies combined, and they had to go on in Bengal on the coattails of Mamta, who can anytime kick them out. So I'm not so sure that Congress is showing victory anywhere. And I'm expecting some more scandals to come out, and then the midterm poll next February.
All right, well, that's an interesting note to close on. The next 2 years, we're expecting even more scandals from this very scandal-ridden government. But quick reminder to our viewers, the nation, after 2 years of UPA 2's rule, unhappy with the government and the coalition, but seemingly happy with the Prime Minister and his heir apparent, Rahul Gandhi. How will this shape our nation's future? This is something NewsX, of course, will be tracking for you. Let's thank all our guests for being with us. Stay tuned for much more news on the other side, including more on our survey of how the nation has looked at this government over 2 years of its pretty mixed performance. Good night.